Welcome back to Dubsy Bricks for another Mandalore update, and this week I'm going to start off by doing some more work on the Kom'rk Starfighter here. I haven't touched the underneath of it yet. I need to tidy that all up and get that looking good. Also need to do some details on the wings just in front of the engine mounts just there, and also need to do the engine mounts underneath as well. Now in this parcel I am hoping are the final pieces for the Starfighter. Now I've said that before, but hopefully I've got it right this time. There should be the clear glass to go in here, and also the remaining wedge plates I need following the change of the design at the back of the craft there. Need to put some details just in here. I'm hoping I've got enough pieces already to do the greebling that's going to be going in front of the engines just there. But yeah, looking forward to getting this hopefully all finished. Also in this parcel as well are some window frames, and they're going to be going outside of the prison cells on the Mandalore MOC. So we'll be getting that all finished off as well. So really looking forward to the progress that we can get done in this update. And here we have the greebling just in front of the engine mount. I'm really happy with how that's come out. I've done it on both wings and done a slightly different style on both sides of it. So with the exception of a couple of tiles here and there, this wing is pretty much done on the top side of it. Now turning our attention to the bottom, this is where the problems are going to start. Now we've got this part just here, which is fallen apart, and this is kept together using some ball joints. So it's enabled me to reverse the studs on that section there to attach it to the wing. Now I need to do a similar thing for the engine housing that's going here and also the greebling on the bottom. However, it's going to be really hard to do that, almost impossible. So I need to try and find a way of flipping these plates over, but I want to make sure that it's nice and strong, as these plates are helping with the strength of the wing mounts just here as well. So I need to work out what's going to be the best option for that. With these wings I could do away with the greebling, as you're not really going to be seeing the underside of the wing in both the flight mode and the landing mode. I'm going to be filming from the front, but it's just in case there is ever a time when the camera catches a glance at the underside of it, I want to make sure that it looks the best it can. So just have a little bit of an experiment with this section just here and see if there is a solution. And I think I've come up with a technique that's going to work. So I've got a snot brick, put a plate on the bottom of it, and then I'm going to put some of the modified plates on the reverse side of this, like so. Now the reason I'm using these modified plates are they have got given me the half a plate thickness on there, which is what you actually need to make this the height of a brick. So then once I pop this into the wing just here, these studs here are now dead flush with this section, so I can rest the plate on there and it's going to fill the gap nicely. I'm going to try and get a few more fitted in this section here anywhere I possibly can, but I do want to put a normal plate across here so you've got the anti-stud pointing upwards just to help keep this all squashed together and nicely connected. But there should be sufficient studs on here for me to work with so I can get the engine mount put on as well as the greebling details as well. And that technique's worked out perfectly. It's enabled me also to connect this part here to these plates as well. So this is connected on two parts now. It's got the studs on this part here and also the ball joints which are inside here, and it's making it twice as strong as it was previously. So fingers crossed this is going to work out really well. The plates do feel nice and strong in there. These ones are helping to keep the engines all in place. So fingers crossed we come up with a solution. Now on here I'm considering putting some of the inverted curved slopes on there. I think I give it a nice finish. But what I need to do now is just work out whether I'm going to put any additional plates on here as well as the engine covers, just to make sure the details on here are as good as they are on the other side. And work has started on the fuselage here. Put a little bit of greebling on here and also on the bottom side as well, and also changed the glass out. Previously I had a light bluish grey windscreen piece in here, where I've now gone for a trans clear piece and also put a couple of the modified plates in here as well. So now when I put a minifigure in there, you'll be able to see that, so that's pretty cool. What I'm going to do next is work on the section along the front. Then I need to flip the ship over, as I haven't actually done any of the work on this part here just yet. So I need to work out what sort of technique I'm going to do to tidy all of this off. And again, there's the little bit of greebling at the back of the ship there. So yeah, let's carry on building and we'll check back in once we make a little bit more progress. And looking at the source material, I think I'm going to need to make some amendments to the fuselage on the bottom here. I think these bricks here, the Technic bricks, are just a little bit too long. I think I need to make them probably 4 to 6 studs narrower, as I need to slope this off going towards these sections just here. So hopefully they'll come apart quite easily. I won't have too much disruption to the top. The good thing is with these, they do actually peel off quite easily. So I just hope that there's not going to be any structural problems with that. So I'm going to make those changes, and then I'll start working on how I'm going to get the slopes on here, as I need a slope to go this way and then also down that way as well. But fingers crossed we will find a solution for it. The Technic bricks came off really easily. There was no problem at all there, and I've replaced them with some snot bricks. That's going to enable me to put some hinge pieces or some brackets on the side here to enable me to get the slope to go back there. And I built another one of these pieces just here, which I'm going to be putting onto the top. This is the same technique as I've used on the wing mounts, and now what I can do is I can attach a plate to there, and then using the studs on here as well, I'll be able to connect it all together. The advantage is with doing this is I can then tile the bottom. It's going to be nice and smooth. There's not going to be any anti-stud shown on there. So I'm hoping that's going to work out and look really good. So I'm going to just carry on building, start experimenting with the sides here to get the angles all on there. And then hopefully we've got the right solution. There's also some studs on the top here as well, which is going to enable me to put another hinge piece on to get the slope going that way. And the only other thing I need to do is leave a small section exposed just so I can attach the landing gear to the studs on the bottom there. And here we have the bottom of the craft, and I opted to use these modified plates here, which are part tile and part studs on here. Originally I was going to plate it and then tile over it, so this section here was all nice and smooth. However, it was getting too bulky, so I opted to use those instead and have that little bit of a compromise. This is the hole where the landing gear is going to be going, and I have already made that up. On the reverse side of here as well, I've actually added the greebling in to the front section just there. Originally I had a Technic beam, however, it wasn't looking quite right. I was going to put a too wide plate on top of it, but it was bringing it forward too much. So changed it over to a plate and then put the details on there. So yeah, that's all done now, and here is the landing gear part. Try to get as much detail as possible on there. I haven't used any source material, so this is just my own design, so hopefully it's the right height. But I'm going to put the craft all together now in the landing position and see how it looks. And here it is, the final version of the Kom'rk Class 3 Mandalorian Starfighter, and I couldn't be happy with how this has come out. There's been a lot of trial and error along the way. It's taken a while to get all of these shapes and angles exactly how I wanted to, the working mechanisms on them and all things like that. But overall, I'm happy with the end result. For those of you that haven't been watching the build series, these wings did originally rotate, so you could have them in the flying mode, then they lifted up to go into the landing mode. Now, there were a couple of problems with that. First of all, the wings are so heavy that they were drooping like so. The wings were connected inside the fuselage using some Technic beams and some Technic clips and all cogs and things like that. And it was one continuous joint in the middle. However, when you rotated one wing from sort of like the flight mode to the landing mode, the other wing should have moved with it. However, it would just stay down. It was twisting everything inside. So that wasn't working. It was very fragile. It was very hard to pick the craft up. You almost needed 3 hands, one for each wing and then one for the fuselage as well. So I decided to scrap that idea. The other problem as well is if I wanted the tiled effect like I've got here at the moment, with the wings rotating, they would then come down and you'd have the tile effect on the bottom, which meant you had the anti-studs on the top of the wing. So I decided that if I do it this way, and now they are removable, so I can just pull each wing out. When it's in landing mode, I've got the tile effect here. If I want to put it in flight mode, all I do, I remove this wing, put it on that side, remove that wing and put it on this side. And then you've got the tiled effect on the top. So you get the best of both worlds when it comes to displaying the model. The fuselage, it did take me quite a while to get that looking just right. Originally, I had to the cockpit came down and then there was a slope down and then this section at the front. But after looking at the source material, I realised that that was all wrong. But underneath here, again, I do feel like I've caught most of the angles as they show in the source material and what you see in the Mandalorian and in Clone Wars. So I'm just going to rotate the ship around and show you what it looks like from the back and the underside of the wings. And as you can see with the wings, I have tried to get as much detail as possible on here. So here are the engine mounts I was showing you earlier. Once we got the plates all reversed on here, I was able to put all of this greebling on here. They're all attached as well. So this does look a lot better than it did previously. I think I've got enough detail on this so that when it's in the flight mode, you can still see all of the necessary angles and details on there. But yeah, that's the back side of the vehicle. And from the side, once again, when it's in the landing mode, I do think that it does look pretty cool from that angle there. Now these wings are really thick. They're 4 plates wide. It would have been nice to have been able to put a tile all the way along the edge there, like you see on the Galaxy Explorer, but it wasn't something that I was able to achieve. But I do really love this craft. I think it is a really nice vehicle to recreate. And one day I would love to do a minifig scale version of this. This obviously isn't minifig scale. The cockpit only holds 1 person, whereas I think in the Mandalorian show you see that there's at least room for 3 people in the cockpit just there. But yeah, there it is. So let's put the wings now into the flight mode and I'll show you how that looks. And here is the Kom'rk in the flight mode, and I think this is such a cool angle of this craft, and I think it's one of the reasons why it's one of my favourite vehicles in Star Wars. It's just so sleek looking, and I really wish LEGO would come out and build a larger version of this. It'd be nice to see what they can come up with. Obviously when you do MOCs like this, you are restricted to the parts you have available, and you can order in parts you think you're going to need, but obviously they have a full range of pieces, so I'm sure they would make this a lot more structurally sound. These parts just here are so fragile, you have to be really careful when picking it up. And again, as you come down, the look of it head on, I think it looks really sweet as well. Now on the back of the vehicle, the engines, I wanted to try and get as much detail with the engine housings as possible, and these did prove to be quite a challenge, as you've got them sloping down on both sides here, but they also slope down on the front side, which is why they're in sections. So these are, you've got the back bit here, and then the front part is a separate part again. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is not minifig scale. If it was, this back section here would house seating for the troops, and they would drop out through the cargo bays at the bottom. But again, hopefully one day we'll be able to create a vehicle which does have all of those features. But just show you how the wings remove, it is just simply a case of sliding them out of the build. So we'll do this one-handed, like so. And yeah, it's just 2 plates and a brick, the same as 2 studs wide, which is how they fit in there perfectly, and that's just tiled on the inside. I did make it originally so that there are Technic holes in there which will hold the wings in place, and again from the back you would have been able to slide one through. That part moves off, but due to how this is displayed, it was so sturdy, there was no necessity for me to put those pins in there, so it's easy just to pull them out and put it back in as you go along. But yeah, that's the Kom'rk Starfighter. Now we finished building this vehicle, let's turn our attention back to the prison cell area of Mandalore. And that's the section outside the prison cell all put in place. I need to order in some more of the dark bluish grey tiles to tile off these 2 sections just here, and also put some 1x bricks on the end to fill the gap in, but really loving how that looks come out. I think it's a lot better having these window frames in here than trying to do a brick built part with using angle pieces. It just looks more realistic to me than like it does in the show. But yeah, there it is. I think it's going to look really cool once the lights are shining down from above. All I need to do is work on the lift shaft just down the end there, and then this is another part of the MOC that is pretty much finished. This coming week, I'm going to be plating off this with the art plates if I've got enough of them, and then tile it all off as well. That way I can then connect the bridge between these 2 builds, and then I can start on the actual palace itself, which will be going up the top there. I've got a rough idea of how I want to do the window display. Whether or not it's going to work out, I'm not sure. It's the one challenge I'm really looking forward to this coming week. But Mandalore, as I said in the last couple of weeks, is certainly getting close to the end. And hopefully it won't be too much longer before I can show you the finished build, which is really exciting. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building Mandalore or building Gotham, if you could share the channel with them, it would be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for popping on by, and I'll see you next time.